In the quiet suburbs of Burbank, California, lives a man whose face has been a welcome presence in American living rooms for decades. Jay Leno hosted The Tonight Show for more than 22 years, entertaining millions night after night. He has amassed one of the most impressive collections of classic cars and motorcycles in the world. Well over 180 vehicles that he doesn't just display, but actively maintains and drives. For 50 years, he has sold out theaters and arenas across America, weekend after weekend, delivering sharp humor and relatable wit to live audiences. Yet, strip away the fame and the spotlights, and on any given Tuesday night, you'll likely find this same man standing in his kitchen, preparing dinner for his wife of 45 years. He does it not for cameras or applause, but because that's what commitment looks like to him. Jay Leno is one of the most familiar figures in television history, and quietly, he may also be one of its most tested and resilient. Consider the physical challenges he has faced in recent years alone. In November 2022, while working on a vintage 1907 white steam car in his expansive garage, a fuel line issue sent a spray of gasoline directly into his face. A nearby pilot light ignited it, causing severe third-degree burns across the left side of his face, neck, and hands. The injury required hospitalization, multiple skin grafts, and painstaking recovery at a specialized burn center. Most people would have taken months off. Jay was back at work in just days. When asked about it later, he shrugged it off with characteristic humor. He had only missed a couple of shows, so it wasn't that bad. Barely 2 months after the fire, another accident struck. While test riding one of his beloved vintage motorcycles, he encountered an unmarked wire stretched across a driveway. The wire caught him at speed, throwing him from the bike and breaking multiple bones, including his collarbone and ribs, while cracking his kneecaps. Again, the recovery was swift by most standards. He got back on the road and back on stage as soon as he could. Then, in November 2024, came yet another test. In Pittsburgh, for a stand-up performance, Jay decided to take a shortcut down a steep hillside near his hotel. He tumbled nearly 60 feet, hitting rocks along the way. The fall left him with a fractured wrist, a badly bruised and swollen face, requiring an eye patch, and other injuries. Hours later, despite the pain, he walked on stage for his sold-out show and delivered a full set. 3 major incidents in about 2 years: fire, wire, and gravity, each capable of sidelining someone for good. None of them stopped Jay Leno. None became the defining headline of his life. Because at home, a deeper, quieter challenge waited. His wife, Mavis Leno, had been diagnosed with advanced dementia. The woman he married in 1980, the committed feminist activist who worked tirelessly on issues like women's rights under the Taliban in Afghanistan, began to experience a heartbreaking daily cycle. For roughly 3 years, she would wake up each morning believing she had just learned that her mother had died. The grief hit fresh every single day, with the full weight of new loss. Jay was there through every one of those mornings, comforting, steady, and present. He has described this period as among the hardest of his life, yet he frames it not as a burden, but as purpose, as something that makes him feel lucky. Jay Leno was born James Douglas Muir Leno on April 28, 1950, in New Rochelle, New York, a place close enough to Manhattan to dream big, but far enough to understand the value of grit. As a child, dyslexia made traditional schooling a struggle. Teachers in the 1950s and 60s often lacked the tools or patience to recognize his intelligence. Some suggested a future limited to manual labor, doubting he would amount to much academically. His father, Angelo, an insurance salesman, modeled reliability and the dignity of honest work. His mother, Catherine, a Scottish immigrant, brought sharp wit and a love of language into the home. Between them, they gave Jay something no classroom could: the conviction that consistent effort outweighs early setbacks, and that humor could be a legitimate path through life. Comedy found him early. He discovered the immediate, honest feedback of making people laugh. In hallways, parking lots, and the back of classrooms. Unlike written tests that frustrated his dyslexic mind, a joke either worked or it didn't, and the audience always let you know. He began performing in his teens, developing an intuitive sense for reading a room, timing, and recovery from misses. These weren't just stage skills. They were survival tools forged in a system that had underestimated him. The family moved to Andover, Massachusetts, where Jay attended high school. He wasn't a standout student, but he was a relentless worker, washing dishes, sweeping floors, and taking jobs wherever he could, including at a Ford dealership. That early exposure to cars would later become a defining passion. He attended Emerson College in Boston, graduating in 1973 with a speech therapy degree, then dove headfirst into the competitive Boston comedy circuit. The rooms there were tough and unforgiving, demanding both talent and consistency. Jay drove himself to New York and Los Angeles, performing anywhere that would have him, and even where they wouldn't, refining material relentlessly. In the mid-1970s Los Angeles scene, the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard was the proving ground. Jay stood out not just for his jokes, but for his work ethic. Fellow comedians, including David Letterman, noted how he simply outworked everyone. He wrote constantly, performed nightly when possible, and studied what worked. His television breakthrough came with Johnny Carson's endorsement. Repeated appearances on The Tonight Show built his profile. By the 1980s, he was headlining major venues and, in 1987, became permanent guest host. When Carson retired in 1992, the succession battle with Letterman made headlines, but Jay focused on the work. He took the chair on May 25, 1992, at age 42, and held it through 2 tenures totaling 22 years. The show consistently drew millions of viewers. He won Emmys and earned top pay, yet he continued performing live stand-up over 100 times a year, banking TV money and living on road earnings. The work itself was never a stepping stone. It was the foundation. Beyond the desk, Jay's garage became legendary. Housing a rotating collection of around 180 cars and 160 motorcycles in a massive 140,000-square-foot facility near Burbank Airport, it's not a static museum. These are working vehicles he restores, maintains, and drives. He gets under them, learns their mechanics, and shares that passion on Jay Leno's Garage. The 2022 fire happened precisely because he was hands-on with a rare steam car. His approach to life echoes across domains. Show up, do the work yourself when possible, and don't complain about the cost. That philosophy carried him through physical recoveries and now through caregiving. Mavis, a strong, independent woman he met at the Comedy Store, has been his partner since their 1980 wedding. They built a complete life together without children, rooted in respect and shared values. When dementia advanced, Jay filed for and received conservatorship in 2024 to handle affairs responsibly. He has been transparent about the difficulties but also about the rewards. He cooks dinner nightly, watches shows with her, and finds joy in the routines they've always shared, adapted to her needs. She still has the fire, he said warmly. She still recognizes him for now, and he treasures every day that holds true. He has pushed back against suggestions to step away, reminding people that vows and loyalty matter. In his view, staying isn't heroic. It's simply what he signed up for. I enjoy taking care of her, he has said plainly. It gives me purpose. At 76, Jay Leno shows no signs of slowing down. He maintains a busy stand-up schedule, continues creating content about cars, and faces each day with the same discipline that carried him from underestimated student to cultural institution. The boy teachers once doubted has spent a lifetime refusing to accept limits. He processes pain with humor, meets duty with presence, and finds gratitude even amid accumulated hardships. The story of Jay Leno isn't ultimately about ratings, car collections, or fame. It's about what remains when the applause fades. The daily decision to show up for the people and the work that matter. It's about turning setbacks, whether burns from a garage fire, broken bones from a motorcycle, a fall down a hillside, or the long goodbye of dementia, into continued forward motion. In a world that sometimes celebrates reinvention through escape, Jay represents something steadier. The power of consistency, the strength of loyalty, and the quiet dignity of a man who keeps his promises. He has faced fire, fractures, and profound personal challenges without losing his humor or his sense of duty. And through it all, he says he feels lucky. If Jay Leno's journey has ever brought you laughter on a tough night, reminded you of the value of honest work, or inspired you to stay committed when things get hard, consider that the greatest tribute. The real legacy isn't the spotlight, it's the character that endures when the cameras go dark. What do you think defines a life well lived? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story resonates, pass it along, because stories of resilience and quiet strength deserve the love or not.